Hey, what's up, everybody? Will the United States go back on the gold standard? Very interesting. We're going to take a look at this article. This article is a couple of months old, but I still think it's interesting. Still want to look at it. Still want to have a discussion about it. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think the United States or any country for that matter will go back on the gold standard? Who would be the first nation to go back on the gold standard? But let's take a look at this. Now, this article is from Fox Business, and this is from Peter Schiff, who says that gold will hit 5,000 or 10,000 minimum. Now, make no mistakes about it. Peter Schiff sells gold. So keep that in your mind. Take this with a grain of salt. But let me know in the comment section below what you think. Will we ever go back on the gold standard? So let's take a look at this article. So this says the extreme measures taken by the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve to combat the pandemic could push the U.S. into an episode of hyperinflation and boost gold, according to Peter Schiff. Now, like I said, this article is a couple of months old, but it's still relevant. We could be seeing more stimulus, more government spending. So let's read on. The White House and the Senate reached a $2 trillion deal Wednesday on the third phase of a relief package that extends cash to the individual, small businesses, and corporations that were hit hardest by economic fallout from the pandemic. On top of that, the Fed said earlier this week it would buy unlimited amounts of assets to support market functions and the economy. The central banks has also cut rates to nearly zero to ease lending conditions. What the Fed is doing is extremely bearish for the U.S. economy, Schiff, CEO of Westport, Connecticut-based Euro Pacific Capital, told Fox Business. It assures that this depression that we are entering is going to be extremely brutal in the inflation that is going to ravage the economy, particularly investors and retirees. He added that hyperinflation or extremely high and worsening inflation is very much on the table, and that a complete destruction of the U.S. currency would be accelerated if the world dumps the dollar as a reserve. Schiff is not alone in suggesting that hyperinflation is a potential consequence of restoring to helicopter money. And then here we're taking a look at Jerome Powell, who is not a fan of going on the gold standard. Deutsche Bank microstrategist Oliver Harvey says that while the policy response to the pandemic is very similar to the 2008 financial crisis today, calamity is very different. The 2008 crisis was a classic demand shock, whereas this time around is first and foremost a supply shock, which is now spilling over to demand, he said. Consumers are staying away from restaurants and stores because government told them to do so, and wage earners aren't going to work because they are being told to stay home to avoid spreading or contracting the virus. As happened is a second order response to a first order shock to aggregate supply, he said, and trying to keep spending at pre-lockdown levels while keeping lockdowns in place will lead to more money, much less goods and services, resulting in inflation and a lot of it. He notes a inelastic or fixed this time around, resulting in higher prices, while helping business through this pandemic credit crunch and assisting people out of work because of government mandates is appropriate. Harvey argued embarking on a New Deal style spending program via monetary financing while imposing tough supply constraints on the economy could result in hyperinflation, worsening people's lives standards more than doing nothing. For Schiff, the winner is clear: gold. The precious metal price, he says, should be a lot more than just 9.5% it has gained since the Fed launched its massive asset program on Monday. Again, this is an older article, so keep that in mind. For now, gold is still trading below 1,700 an ounce it reached a few weeks ago. Let's just take a quick peek at the updated gold spot price. So currently, gold spot price is $1,732.70. What the Federal Reserve has basically told the world is if you're an owner of U.S. Treasury bonds, you need to sell them to us because we're going to buy the entire bond market, Schiff said, adding the Fed will also be buying corporate bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and more. Fed takes major action to support markets and the illness. He believes that this will force central banks, particularly China and Japan, which are the biggest holders of U.S. Treasuries, to buy gold. Schiff's minimum projection for the price of gold is $5,000 to $10,000 an ounce. And he says the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is now valued at about 12 times the price of gold, will trade at just 7.5 times instead. Eventually, he sees gold and the Dow trading at even money. Goldman Sachs is bullish too, but not nearly as bullish. In a note sent to clients on Tuesday, Jeffrey Curry, global head of commodities, says it's time to buy the currency of last resort, arguing that the world's shortage of dollars, which has buoyed the greenback's value, will come to an end under the Fed's open-ended asset purchases. The situation resembles 2008, he said, when gold, a perceived safe haven, fell 20% due to dollar strength and ran on cash. Before the Fed's $600 billion QE program curbed the greenback's value and made gold more attractive, Curry has a 12-month price target of $1,800 an ounce. So $1,800 compared to Bank of America said a while back gold was going to go to $3,000. Peter Schiff is saying gold's going to go to $5,000 to $10,000 an ounce. Now, if we did go on the gold standard, gold cannot stay where it's currently at. The price of gold probably is going to have to go much, much higher. So if you believe we are going to go back on the gold standard, let me know in the comment section below. If you believe we are going to go on the gold standard, what do you think the price of gold is going to go up to? How would that impact silver? But if we were to go back on the gold standard, the price of gold obviously is going to probably be fixed by our federal government. If we are going to go back on the gold standard, I believe also that would have to pass through Congress. And I'm not entirely sure that with the current Congress that we have, that going back on the gold standard would happen or could pass through Congress, because going back on the gold standard would definitely limit how much government spending would be able to happen, because you can't print gold. You have to mine gold. You can't just make up gold. So I'm not entirely sure, if we were to go, if it's possible that we're going to go back on the gold standard, but I do believe that going back on the gold standard would have to pass through Congress to do so. And with this current Congress, you let me know in the comment section below. Do you think Congress the current Congress that we have would pass a law that says that we're going to go back on the gold standard. I don't think an executive order would be able to put us back on the gold standard, but I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about all of this. If you do believe we're going to go back on the gold standard, obviously gold right now is at a good value. But if we're not going to go back on the gold standard, then who knows? But let me know in the comment section below what you think, your thoughts about all of this. Are we going back on the gold standard? Yes or no? Appreciate everybody for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to everybody on my next video. Thanks a lot.